I still remember the exact moment Marcus Wellington crushed my confidence with just 7 words. It was a rainy Tuesday morning in downtown Chicago, October 15th, and I was standing in the marble lobby of Wellington and Associates, clutching my leather portfolio like it contained the secrets to the universe. The rain had soaked through my coat, and I could feel droplets still clinging to my hair, despite my best efforts to look professional. "You're not client material, sweetheart." The words hit me like a physical blow. Marcus didn't even look up from his gold-plated iPhone as he delivered this verdict. His perfectly pressed navy Armani suit, his slicked-back salt-and-pepper hair, his dismissive tone. Everything about him screamed entitled privilege. The kind of man who'd never had to prove himself, who'd inherited his position along with his trust fund. I had walked into that office with 3 years of marketing experience at smaller firms, a portfolio of successful campaigns, and a burning desire to prove myself in the big leagues of advertising. "Excuse me?" I managed to whisper, my voice barely audible over the clicking of designer heels on marble floors and the soft jazz playing through hidden speakers. Marcus finally looked up, his cold gray eyes scanning me from head to toe like I was a piece of merchandise he was considering returning. His gaze lingered on my secondhand blazer, my Payless shoes, my earnest expression. I watched his mouth curl into a smirk that made my stomach turn. "Look, Rebecca Martinez, right? I looked at your work before this meeting. You're talented, I'll give you that. Your numbers are impressive on paper. But our clients expect a certain image. They want someone who looks the part, speaks the part, lives the part. Someone who can relate to their world. You understand what I'm saying?" I understood perfectly. He was telling me I wasn't white enough, wasn't polished enough, wasn't rich enough for his precious clientele. My secondhand blazer and earnest enthusiasm weren't going to cut it in his world of corporate giants and million-dollar campaigns. The subtext was clear. "You're too ethnic, too working class, too real for our sanitized corporate bubble." "I've increased revenue by 40% for every account I've managed," I said, finding my voice and straightening my spine. "My portfolio shows consistent results across diverse markets. I've won 3 industry awards for my sustainable marketing campaigns." Marcus chuckled, a sound that was both cold and condescending. He leaned back in his leather chair, fingers steepled like he was about to deliver a lecture to a particularly slow student. "Numbers on paper don't wine and dine clients at the Union League Club, sweetheart. They don't play golf at exclusive courses in Lake Forest or summer in Martha's Vineyard. Our clients, people like Alexandra Thornfield, Richard Blackstone, the Pemberton family, they want someone they can relate to, someone from their world who understands their lifestyle and values." I felt my cheeks burn with humiliation. Around us, other employees pretended not to notice, but I could feel their sideways glances. The receptionist, a blonde woman about my age wearing what looked like a designer dress worth more than my monthly rent, looked at me with what might have been sympathy or pity. I couldn't tell which was worse. "Mr. Wellington," I said, forcing my voice to remain steady despite the tremor I could feel building in my chest. "I think you're making a mistake. Marketing isn't about matching your clients' country club memberships. It's about understanding their customers, their markets, their real business needs." Marcus's expression hardened. "The only mistake," he replied, already turning away to shuffle through papers on his mahogany desk, "would be putting you in front of our biggest client. Alexandra Thornfield doesn't have time for charity cases or diversity hires. She expects excellence, and excellence in this business comes with a certain pedigree." He stood up, clearly signaling the end of our meeting. "I'm sure you'll find something more suitable to your background. Maybe try the smaller firms on the South Side. They might be more accommodating to your situation." Those words would haunt me for months, but they also ignited something inside me, a fire that would burn brighter than Marcus Wellington could ever imagine. As I walked out of that pristine office, past the oil paintings of old white men and the crystal awards for campaigns I knew I could have executed better, I made myself a promise. I would prove him wrong in the most spectacular way possible. 6 months later, I was working at a smaller firm called Creative Solutions, housed in a converted warehouse in River North. The exposed brick walls and industrial lighting were a far cry from Wellington and Associates' marble columns, but it felt like home. My boss, Sarah Chen, was a brilliant strategist who believed in results over appearances, and I was thriving. The pay was decent, the work was challenging, and I was finally starting to feel like myself again. I'd thrown myself into every project with renewed determination. The Ecotech campaign I'd developed had won a regional award and increased their sales by 200%. My work with a local sustainable fashion brand had caught national attention. I was building something real, something that mattered, far from the stuffy pretensions of Marcus Wellington's world. That's when fate decided to intervene. "Rebecca, I need you to take over the Thornfield Industries account," Sarah announced during our Monday morning meeting. She was sitting at our conference table, a reclaimed wood surface that perfectly captured our company's authentic, unpretentious vibe. "Janet's out with pneumonia, and they specifically requested someone with your background in sustainable marketing." My heart stopped. Thornfield Industries, the same company Marcus had mentioned 6 months ago, the same client he'd said would never work with someone like me. I could still hear his condescending voice. "Alexandra Thornfield doesn't have time for charity cases." "Are you sure?" I asked, trying to keep my voice casual while my pulse raced. "I mean, it's a huge account. Maybe someone more senior should handle it. What about David or Michelle?" Sarah raised an eyebrow, her expression shifting to the stern look she gave when she thought someone was selling themselves short. "Rebecca, you've brought in more new business than anyone else here. Your sustainable marketing expertise is exactly what they need. Stop doubting yourself. Besides, Alexandra Thornfield specifically asked for you after seeing your work on the Ecotech campaign. She said, and I quote, 'I want the person who made solar panels sexy.' Alexandra Thornfield had asked for me. The irony was almost too perfect to believe. I spent the rest of the day researching everything I could about Thornfield Industries, diving deeper than I'd ever researched a client before. Alexandra had built the company from nothing, transforming a small family business into a sustainable energy empire worth $3 billion. She was known for her sharp business acumen, her commitment to environmental causes, and her reputation for choosing partners based on merit, not pedigree. The meeting was scheduled for Thursday at their downtown office. I chose my outfit carefully, a sharp charcoal suit I'd finally been able to afford, paired with confidence I'd earned through months of hard work and success. As I walked through the glass doors of Thornfield Industries, past the living walls of plants and the reception area powered entirely by renewable energy, I felt like a different person than the one who'd been humiliated in Marcus Wellington's marble lobby. The receptionist, a young man with bright eyes and a warm smile, greeted me professionally. "Ms. Martinez, Ms. Thornfield is ready for you. Conference room 3, just down the hall." "Can I get you anything? Coffee, water, kombucha?" As I walked down the hallway, lined with awards for environmental leadership and photos of renewable energy projects around the world, I couldn't help but smile. This was exactly where I belonged. Alexandra Thornfield was nothing like I'd expected. Instead of the intimidating corporate titan I'd imagined, she was a woman in her 50s, with kind eyes and laugh lines, wearing a simple blue dress and comfortable flats. Her office was filled with plants, and the walls were covered with photos of renewable energy installations, rather than the typical corporate awards. She stood up as I entered the conference room, extending her hand with a genuine smile that reached her eyes. "Rebecca Martinez, I've been looking forward to this meeting for weeks. Please sit down. Can I get you coffee? Water? I have some amazing cold brew from a local roaster." "Coffee would be great, thank you," I replied, settling into the chair across from her. The table was made of reclaimed wood, and I noticed solar panels visible through the floor-to-ceiling windows. As she poured coffee from a thermal carafe, she continued talking. "I have to tell you, your Ecotech campaign was absolutely brilliant. The way you positioned sustainable technology as aspirational rather than sacrificial, that's exactly the kind of thinking we need. Most agencies still treat green technology like medicine, something people should take because it's good for them, but you made it desirable. Thank you, Ms. Thornfield. I believe sustainability shouldn't feel like a compromise. It should feel like an upgrade, like you're getting something better, not giving something up." "Exactly." She leaned forward, her eyes lighting up with the kind of enthusiasm I rarely saw in corporate meetings. "That's why I specifically requested you for this project. We're launching a new line of residential solar solutions, and I need someone who understands how to make green technology not just acceptable, but sexy. Someone who can reach the Tesla crowd, the early adopters, the people who want to be part of the solution. We spent the next 2 hours discussing strategy, target demographics, and creative concepts. Alexandra was brilliant. She asked probing questions that made me think deeper, challenged my assumptions in ways that strengthened my ideas, and built on my concepts with insights that could only come from someone who truly understood both business and environmental impact. "I have to ask," she said during a brief pause, refilling our coffee cups. "Have you worked with Wellington and Associates before? Your name sounds familiar, and I could swear Marcus mentioned you at some point." My stomach clenched. "I interviewed there about 6 months ago. It didn't work out." Alexandra's expression shifted slightly, her warm smile fading. "Ah, Marcus Wellington. I actually used to work with his firm, but I ended that relationship recently. May I ask what happened with your interview?" I hesitated, then decided honesty was the best policy. "He told me I wasn't client material, that I didn't fit the image his clients expected. He said your clients wanted someone who could relate to their world, someone from their background." Alexandra's jaw tightened, and I saw something flash in her eyes. Anger, recognition, disappointment. That sounds exactly like Marcus. He's old school in the worst possible way. Thinks business is still conducted in cigar-filled back rooms. You know, he pitched me just last month, convinced he was the right choice for this very campaign we're discussing. Really? I tried to keep my voice neutral, but inside, my heart was racing. Really? He brought in this whole presentation about understanding my target market, about having the right team for the job. 3 hours of fancy slides and expensive suits. But when I asked specific questions about sustainable marketing trends, about reaching younger demographics, about authentic brand messaging, he had nothing, just empty buzzwords and outdated strategies. When I asked about diversity in their creative team, he actually said they didn't believe in quota hiring. She paused, studying my face. "But you, Rebecca, you've already shown me more innovative thinking in 2 hours than his entire team did in a 3-hour presentation. That's why I chose to work with Creative Solutions instead. I want results, not country club connections." I felt a surge of vindication so strong, it was almost overwhelming. "I'm honored by your confidence in me, Ms. Thornfield. Please call me Alexandra. And Rebecca, that man's definition of client material is exactly what's wrong with this industry. Real clients want results, not pedigree. They want innovation, not tradition. They want someone who understands the future, not someone stuck in the past." The Thornfield Industries campaign launched 3 months later, and it exceeded every expectation we'd set. Our Power Your Future campaign didn't just sell solar panels. It sold a vision of independence, sustainability, and smart living. The commercials featured real families from diverse backgrounds, authentic stories of people taking control of their energy future, and stunning visuals of homes powered by clean energy. The results were staggering. Pre-orders exceeded projections by 300%. The campaign won 2 national advertising awards and was featured in Ad Age as Campaign of the Year. Most importantly, it helped normalize sustainable technology in a way that felt accessible and exciting rather than preachy or exclusive. I was working late one evening, putting finishing touches on our quarterly report, when my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Rebecca, this is Marcus Wellington. I heard about your Thornfield success. Impressive work. Perhaps we could discuss opportunities at Wellington and Associates. I think there might have been some miscommunication during our last meeting." I stared at the message for a long moment, remembering the humiliation, the condescension, the way he'd made me feel small and inadequate. Then I deleted it, without responding. The next morning, Alexandra called me into her office. The space was brighter than ever, with new plants and a wall covered in articles about our successful campaign. "Rebecca, I have a proposition for you. I'm starting an in-house marketing division, and I want you to head it up. The salary is competitive. Actually, it's more than competitive. The benefits are excellent, and you'd have complete creative control over all our campaigns. Plus, I want you to build your own team from scratch." I didn't need to think about it. "When do I start?" "As soon as you're ready. There's just one thing. We're going to need to hire a team, and I want you to have final say on all hiring decisions. I trust your judgment completely." 6 months later, I was walking through my new office, a bright, modern space with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Lake Michigan. My team of 12 talented marketers was working on campaigns for 3 major sustainable energy companies. We'd just been featured in Marketing Week as the agency to watch, and I'd been invited to speak at 3 industry conferences. And the best part? 2 weeks ago, Marcus Wellington had applied for a position on my team. I kept his resume on my desk for exactly 1 day before filing it in the recycling bin. Not because I was petty, well, maybe a little, but because he was right about one thing. Our clients did expect a certain image. They wanted someone innovative, authentic, and forward-thinking. Someone who understood the future, not someone clinging to the past. Marcus Wellington was definitely not client material. As I sat in my office that evening, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink, I couldn't help but smile. Sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even, it's getting ahead. And sometimes, the person who tells you that you're not good enough is exactly the motivation you need to prove them spectacularly wrong. I picked up my phone and called my mother. "Mummy, remember when I told you about that man who said I wasn't client material? Well, guess what happened today? I just got promoted to VP of Marketing, and I'm making more money than he is." The conversation that followed was filled with laughter, pride, and the sweet satisfaction of knowing that success tastes better when you've earned it despite the odds. Marcus Wellington had tried to limit my potential based on his narrow definition of worth, but he'd only succeeded in lighting a fire that burned brighter than he could ever imagine. And that fire was just getting started.